Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Vasten 2. Now, in the last episode, we built these houses in this iron farm, but I have not finished this backside of the iron farm because I really don't know what to do here. But yeah, here are the houses that we built in the last episode, and in between, off camera, I started building this little square, this very small square with some market stalls that are unfinished, and I also built these houses, and I actually really like what I did here with having three townhomes, but the corner townhome right here is different than these two townhomes with the acacia roofs on them. And then I also built a standalone house right here that serves as a way to basically all this does is to basically make these streets smaller so that they feel like they lead to something because they're of that width, being 5 blocks and not like 2 blocks for an alleyway, but they're also not that they're also not that big of a road, which doesn't make it as important as it would for the actual town square over there. But the first interior that I've actually done is in this house, and I'm really happy with what I did. I still need to make these cakes like on stage 2 or even stage 3. So I'll just need to eat some rotten flesh to get my hunger down to do that, because in our texture pack it turns into bread or cheese, I think. So yeah, and then another cool thing I did, but by the way, all these walls haven't been filled in since these are townhomes, and I really don't know what wall design to really do. But I've added a kitchen here, and basically, oh, the reason I did this is so there's an exhaust vent right here, so the smoke and all the steam like just gets out through here. Oh, where did you spawn from? Interesting. But then again, this wall is not done. Then I made a study in this room using cartography tables. It's a shame that they have vertical dark oak texture for the cartography table instead of horizontal to match the planks, but that's fine. I also added a bookshelf, which you may notice that uses looms to almost act as empty bookcases, which works pretty well, so I really like it. Then I added a bench here, um, and then I just added a living space and then some bedrooms. So yeah, it's pretty sweet. But let's move on to what we are going to build in today's episode. So coming over here where Cal's buildings are, by the way, they are amazing. He's been filling this area out like crazy. But besides his latest house that he's been doing, or these two houses, I guess, is where we are going to build in today's episode. This is going to be the Blackstone Cathedral. And I remember someone posted an image of a Blackstone Cathedral on a much larger scale, but I kind of wanted to, use that idea and make it a little bit smaller, but still being a pretty big build compared to everything else. And so you can see that I already planned these towers. That tower is at uh 34 and 34 blocks tall. That one's at 34, and that one's at 39, just 5 blocks taller than this one. And as you can see, I already planned out the pews. However, this is almost certainly going to change, as I think what I'm going to do is have the altar up here, and then the pews leading like just around here, and then a pathway diagonally coming over here. I think that'll work much better than this, which is quite tiny, to be honest. But the first thing I want to build is this front face of the cathedral, just so that we could get a nice idea of the actual block palette of this build, and just the general scale of how it's gonna look. So I got one tower done, which I'm pretty happy about. It's mainly blackstone and andesite. Well, it's just blackstone and andesite, the little iron bar accents. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. What I try to do is have like some arches at the bottom and then a cool like cross design at the top, which I usually see in cathedrals or something. I think what I'm gonna fill that in with is probably like some greenish color, maybe dark prismarine if I have any. Um, but yeah, so what I'm thinking about doing is extending this iron or this andesite bar you see here over onto this arch and continue it on the other tower. I'm obviously going to make these towers symmetrical just so it looks good. But what I did is from the ground I started with Blackstone brick, and then I used raw Blackstone throughout until I reached another polished Blackstone area, which I then had a gradient of Blackstone brick, and then I extended my raw Blackstone up. It's just a cool design, cool gradient to use, honestly, and it works really well, so I'm really happy with it. Now it's just time to do that arch and just repeat this design over on this tower, and then do the other sides of the towers. I'm back, and I have done a lot of work here, and I am really happy with the progress of the cathedral. As you can see, I have almost the front face of the actual build done, and I just added, some arches, and I just did the right side tower, and I think it came like pretty well. I think it looks pretty good. I'm just currently working on the roof and trying to figure out what color looks the best. I'm currently using black concrete powder as the roof, but I think it's too dark, and I may switch to like some different concrete powder color, or maybe just go to dark prismarine. But I did include some accents such as a gradient of black, incorporating some blocks such as nether brick, which is black in our texture pack instead of maroon. And then I also used the coal blocks, as you can see. And you can also see that I also continued this strip of andesite along the whole front face, just a little 2-block tall strip, and then also adding some dark prismarine accents just to lighten the build in some parts. And then you can see another key feature is the depth of the arches. So there are around 5 arches here. So there's one, the outer layer with the coal and the concrete powder, right there, and then the Blackstone arch, and then the dark oak, which is just logs and then dark oak planks on top, and then logs behind that with fences. So it all like contributes to the overall depth of the build, and I'm currently like really happy with the progress. And it kind of looks like a face, kind of looks like a monster. So like you see the nose and the 2 eyeballs, but it's pretty cool. Now the thing that I want to focus on right now is going to be the interior, and I want to plan it out right now. So the blocks that I'll need is black stained terracotta, glazed terracotta. So I'll just put this black terracotta in the smelter, and I'll just wait for it to smelt, and then I'll be right back. And then I also added a 3rd layer for glass, and I also had like a mosaic of like stone and some glazed terracottas that we have in our texture pack. And then on this back side, I also worked out this area, which I just wanted to have like a little back area for people to view out of the church, for like where the priests prepare for any service or whatever. And you just have a couple of these outcroppings that look over on to this direction, which is easterly. But yeah, just to fill in the space, I just added some leaves, which just fill in the space nicely and really just make your job easier. So I highly suggest using leaves and bushes all the time. And yes, I know my place is such a mess, but I swear, I will keep it clean, and I hope to get rid of this before next episode. But as we walk in, we are met by this beautiful floor, and I have came up with a couple of chandelier designs, and I'm either between this one or this one. I think this one, just because of how much more depth it gives. The wall gives like so much more depth to the actual chandelier. It's kind of crazy. Um, but I think I'm gonna have like six of these around. And oh boy, that's a mop farm. Let's see if I can hit him. Got him. But I think I'm gonna have like six of these around on the ceilings, connected with like arches around here. Um, but yeah, I also came up with pews, and I think I landed on either this one or this one. Doesn't really matter. Um, but this one does have a little bit more depth and a little bit more texture. This is a brown bed, as you can see here in our texture pack. It's just a bench, but it works really well for a pew, and I think that's what I'm gonna have. But I also worked on this design for the floor, and it's actually pretty cool. So this is our black glazed terracotta, and initially we have four textures for each glazed terracotta. One like this, one like that, and then one like that, and one like that. So what I'm using is this one and this one. These two are different textures of the same glazed terracotta, and I'm using them combined to create a more diagonal tiled look. So this orangish tile appears only on these diagonals, which kind of separates the pixels a little bit more and makes the actual floor tiles feel a bit smaller than they actually are, because each block is 16 by 16, but I think each floor tile is about like 7 by 7, which just makes everything feel a little bit smaller, and basically makes the whole build feel a little bit larger in the end, which I think is really cool. But then over here, this dark oak area will be where the lectern in the like area for like preaches or whatever services will be conducted from, and then we'll just have this area for like the altar or whatever. I'll also do all of this off camera because this episode I think is gonna wrap up quite shortly. But one thing that I really want to do in between episodes is make this tower my bell tower. It's gonna be kind of weird though, but I think what I'm gonna do is just have like an arch, like a massive arch, and then inside of that room would be where the bell is going to be housed at. Um, but yeah, this cathedral needs a lot of work before I can officially say it's done. But it's also going to be my player base, so it's most likely going to get done before the actual season ends. And I did work on a storage system here. As you can see, I have all my woods over here. 6 rows of chest for the 6 different types of woods. And then I have all my stones, more stone, and then I have my valuables, and then I have my automated smokers and furnaces. I should probably turn these into blast furnaces, but whatever. And then here are my barrels to store my shulkers, which I don't have any at the moment, but I will. And then here is going to be my million item storage to basically store all my shulkers at, which should be pretty cool. It would be nice to have like infinite resources, just like just at my disposal. Which reminds me, I should really go out one of these days to like a really remote place and just grind out for resources. But now that we're done with the cathedral, I really want to move on to this area to show what I've been doing. So as you can see, this is one of the main roads that leads from the center diamond that we created on the initial day. And here you can see the road all trickling until you get to here, which is a smaller but main square. There's going to be multiple main squares. It's not going to just be a kingdom with only one main square, because we want to build this kingdom as large as possible. And with that idea, we want to have many central places for residential areas. So we want to have like market stalls like pretty much everywhere in the city you can possibly look at. But yeah, so here's my market there. Here's my square that I'm working on. The current square is just made up of red sandstone and some red glazed terracotta, which works really well next to each other. And then I currently have 4 or 3 houses all done on this block, which look pretty nice. I did do the interior of this house, which I have to say I am really freaking proud. of what I did in this interior. Can I flip you? Interesting. I may use that in a interior design. But as you can see, I love detailing ceilings. I highly suggest you check out Agent Nemitz's videos. He made a video a couple years ago of detailing ceilings, and ever since then, I've always stuck with this. So as you move from the entrance to the kitchen, you can see that I use this very cool looking block, which is yellow glazed terracotta next to yellow wall. It just adds to a more Persian carpet vibe, and as you can see, I'm still using that tiled look from the cathedral, which is honestly pretty cool to see. But just a nice kitchen with a smoker, a furnace, a cauldron to wash your hands, and some cabinets up above. And then as you can see, I also decorated the ceiling with, I think this is pink? Pink? Is this pink? Yeah, pink. So as we make our way up here, I still want to do something over here. Maybe I can have like a coat rack or a storage area over here. Maybe some more shelving. I don't know. I just want to fill in this area so everything feels a little bit more close-knit and tight. But we move up into the living area, and here we have just a living space where the family can just like hang out. We have a bookshelf, and I always love using looms as empty bookshelves. It works really well, and I'll also show you another usage for the looms in just a little bit. But over here, I did a cool technique using scaffolding, and the way I did this to create this mantle look is, as you can see, there's a little dark oak block peeking back, and that's where the initial scaffolding is. And then I just came out one and came to the right one, and that gives it this cool, really cool look. And in our texture pack, it has like a cross beam, which just adds to the overall feel. But as we move into the main bedroom, what I did is I added like a curtain to kind of close off this area at night, so you don't want to see like any lights coming from out here. We also have another bookshelf, which I have some like molding around with like signs, which works really well. It adds like more depth to the build. And then one thing that I love doing in interiors is using like cartography tables for dark oak wood and fletching tables for birch wood to kind of just give more depth to the build and more emphasis that people actually live here, so they have stuff on the tables. And then I just use like cyan beds here. And the way I had this carpet elevated without a block is I use string, which as you walk through, you kind of see the hitbox, but it doesn't really break your immersion all too much. So moving on upstairs, we have a small little washing station for your hands and just some books to read. Then we move upstairs to a cartography table and a study area. I should probably add some seats around here, but I won't do that right now. And as I was saying with the fletching tables and how the fletching tables merges with the birch so well, the cartography tables and the dark oak go so well together just because they're of the same wood type, wood color. But the shame is that the cartography tables have vertical lines, not horizontal lines like planks. That's the one thing bad about it. But then moving over here, we have another shelf, as you saw before. Then we also have a more decorated roof, once again. And then, oh, it's about to go down, so let me sleep. And then overall, I just like using scaffolding for tables. Their legs are kind of skinny, which is why I always like to pair them with planks and stairs, just to give more, roughness to the build and show that, hey, this stuff can't easily be broken, so it's more realistic. But now that I'm finally done spieling about just interiors and me going crazy, I just want to show a couple of building techniques. So the first thing that I want to show is this glass design. So what I've been incorporating in my builds lately is using glass and using its depth. So the unique property that glass has is that it has a glass pane variety, obviously. And the cool thing is that glass panes go in half a block, or I guess around six sixteenths of the block, which is around 3/8 of the block. And the thing that you can do with that is add some depth to it, and that's what I've done up here, and there. And it just adds like some more depth just to see what angle the window's at, and just more realism to the build. Another thing that I like doing is adding barrels as support structures, just because it's iron lines or iron binding around it gives just more roughness to the build and just shows that it can hold up during like bad weather or whatever. Another thing that I like doing is doing some cool designs with fences and fence gates, as you can see down here, and it really just fills in the area. And honestly, if you're just too lazy about adding like leaves in one area, you can easily do this with fences and fence gates. Also, this thing that I was talking about, the looms, is that you can use it for side paneling. It gives a nice vibe between a nice merger between spruce and some red block. Maybe you can use acacia, or maybe even, as I was saying, it just adds a nice merger between spruce and some red colored blocks such as acacia or red terracotta. And in fact, an example you can see here, which is using looms on the bottom of the acacia. But I think that's all from me for today. I have spent way too long on this episode. It's taken me like a week and a half to like complete this cathedral in its state currently, and it's not even done, which kind of depresses me. But you know, I have all season to finish this, so I obviously will. But I need to prepare for the next episode, which I will just after I finish this recording. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, you know what to do, and please check out my other friends on the Vasten. You can just use the keyword Realm of Vasten in YouTube, and I'm sure you'll see all of them. But besides that, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care, and bye-bye.